Hey guys, Jeff with West Sky Designs. So we've been contemplating and talking about coming out with a lift for the air ride trucks. Maya saw our white Yukon that was on our YouTube channel a while back, white with the gold wheels on it that had the air ride system. That was the very first one we did. We've done this one. We have decided that we are no longer going to offer this for customers just because the complications that are involved with installing this kit into the vehicle. We know that even as our shop, the amount of time that we put in to make the collars, make the rods, make the adjustments, and get this car to sit the way you see it here it takes a lot of work. The airbags have to be pulled out, they have to be fully disassembled, and when they're disassembled, the lower factory collar that's on there is removed. We put our collar on that we've made, which we'll show you here up underneath the back. The collar down on the bottom down here, we made that. It's a 2-inch collar, and then we add enough air to add 1 inch of lift with that, with just adding the air. The problem is with the airbags and the system in this truck, it's very smart, and the leveling rods can sense this. What we do is we fool with the rods that we make, but then the complicated part is that the system won't air itself back up unless it has air or sees air. So what we had to do is we had to put a Schrader valve inside the airbag in the top of it, manually put air back in the bags, and then reinstall the bags back into the truck. So then when we hooked the airlines back up and started the truck up, it doesn't think that anything ever happened, and it just levels itself back to where it's supposed to be. But we had to make the link arms in the back, and we had to make the link arms in the front. We didn't make them adjustable because we didn't want the customer messing with it. On these numbers here, you can see that from the center of the axle here to the bottom edge of the wheel well, we were at 22 1/4 in the back originally. We are now at 24 3/4 here. And then up in the front here, we were at 21 1/2 up in the front here, and now we're at 24 3/4. So we've literally got this thing perfectly level. It's got air ride on it. It's not going to squat because it has the airbags on it, so it's always going to keep itself level. But you can really see this truck's got 35s on it now. It doesn't have any rubbing. It actually had rubbing with the old wheel and tire setup that it had on before, but it doesn't have rubbing now because we've got the offset correct. We've trimmed. We did have to do some trimming on this, and that's another point that we try to do these trucks and we try to minimize the amount of trimming that happens in these trucks. We want them to look as factory as possible. We did do as clean a job as we could on this one and to still keep from rubbing, but you can see up in the front here, we had to trim the liner probably a good 6 or 8 inches out of here, and then we had to round this so it doesn't rub the tire up in through here, but we tried to retain as much of the liner as we could here. We did remove a bracket that was in here that attached the lower part of the liner, but this is some of the things. If you don't want to do a big bracket lift on your truck and you want to retain the factory suspension, which we really try to do in all of our builds, because we don't want to add on to the bottom of the frame and bring the suspension down. We want to try to use the factory suspension that we have and then use the factory airbags and not do a big spacer lift up on top and pushing things down. So, we try to keep it so it retains the geometry, still aligns great. One of the other things we had to do is the steps here in the front came all the way out to here. What we did is we actually cut the step off. We cut 1.5 inches of the step off, slid it back. So when this tire goes to full steering lock, it doesn't have any rubbing back in here. And then we put the cap back on the end of it so it looked factory on this. You can see back here, it did rub previously with the old tire setup. It doesn't rub with the offset and the wheel that it has on it now. And we did have to trim a little bit here. It had actually worn through the liner on the other tire setup on it that was on it. So, and that was the other reason for cutting that. It's just so it looked nice and clean. It didn't look like it had been wearing through on this setup. We did a bunch of paint work on this truck. We painted around the nose. This is a Denali. It's a 21 model. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we painted this black. It was chrome. We painted all the grill here. It was chrome as well. The emblems here had the red and the chrome. We painted all that as well. The fog light buckets were painted, and then the door handles and all the window trim was also painted in the truck. And then on the back of the truck, we eliminated the GMC emblems. I'll show you that. And then we painted this all black. It was chrome in there. Like I said, the door handles were chrome. The window moldings were chrome. We painted all that. And then around the back, we painted this. This was chrome too, so this was painted here. The rear strip across the back door here is painted, and then we took debadged the whole back of the vehicle as well. So just really cleaned up the look of this Denali with all the chrome that was on it, and now it just is super subtle and super clean looking. And you know, the lift in the 35s on this truck looks like a monster. And I can tell you this, probably seeing this in the video is really tough to really get in perspective on how much larger this truck is now from what it was, or that how large it is actually than even considering what it was. So I'm super excited to give this back to the customer. I'm pretty sure he's going to be pretty stoked, and he's been wanting this for quite a long time, and we've been putting it off because we've got other projects we've been working on, and so this wasn't a priority. We made it a priority finally to get it done, and we've had the car for over a week to make these modifications. And after, like I said, after doing these modifications on this truck, we've decided that this is something we don't want to offer, because we know the complications that we went through, that the consumer is going to go through with the phone calls the consumer is going to have to us, and then also the shops and dealers that are going to call us and ask us, hey man, I'm having trouble with this and that. And so we just feel that this is something we don't want to offer to customers, but we do want to share it with you just so you guys can see what it looks like and see what we went through to make it. And if it's something you decide you want to make on your own, you can have at it. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this video on this new Yukon. So thanks again. Bye-bye.